All right. Well, I would like to welcome everybody back to the Libraries and Weight Rooms podcast. My name is DJ Ligori, and this is the show where we talk about mental and physical fitness. We are on episode number 127, and today we have a very special guest. This is somebody I've met over the past couple of months who has helped me with my boxing career, my new boxing career. And he works out at an awesome gym named Say Cheese and Lift. I've never heard of that one before. Been involved in fitness for about 10 years, yet more seriously about 2. And when asked about mental fitness, he said, mental fitness is facing chaos and adversity with calmness. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome Navid Moosa to the show.
Thanks, DJ, man. Thanks for having me. I'm honored, humbled, and I appreciate the opportunity, man.
You are welcome, sir, and thank you for being here today. And very excited to get into what we're going to talk about today. Just a little side note: right before Navid and I started recording, we were talking about boxing, and Navid has helped me get into the world of boxing. And anybody who wants to be humbled very quickly, I recommend getting involved in some combat sport of boxing, right?
It is, man.
It
Man,
really
it's
is.
a humbling experience.
Humbling experience, right? It's good. It's good for the ego. It's good for the soul. It's good for everybody. So, all right.
Yes,
So Navid, now correct me if I'm wrong. We are in the middle of a preparation for a bodybuilding contest, correct?
yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still a year out, so
Okay.
we're coming out of the foundational stuff. We did a lot of high volume,
Mhm.
like 10, 5 sets of 10 with 20-second breaks in it, and then finishing off with till failure essentially.
Okay.
So a lot of high volume. And that was everything: hack squats, leg presses, flies, whatever.
Hmm.
Fortunately, during that process, I did tear my meniscus, and I
Hmm.
I have a sprained MCL as well. So I'm rehabbing from that. However, it's uh, not surgery grade.
Okay.
So it is just PT I have to do. But yes, I am in the middle of it still, and I can't wait. I'm so excited. I can't wait.
That is awesome. I remember when you told me that, I was like, oh, that's so cool. I don't think I've ever met somebody in a bodybuilding contest. So one of the things that I thought would be interesting to kind of dive into was when we asked, so one of the things that a lot of the guests, when we kind of get people onto the show, is we like to talk about challenge, right? How do we respond to challenge when it comes to mental fitness or physical fitness? And one of the things that you had said was reminding yourself why you started the journey. And I think that can get lost a lot of the times when we get into the nitty gritty of exactly what that journey is consists of. So what I was curious about what was the main reason that you decided to enroll in a bodybuilding contest?
So kind of like to your when you introduced me initially
Mhm.
was, I've been doing it for 10 years, but more serious the past 2 years, is I would always say, I'm gonna go do this, right? Go get fit.
Mhm.
New Year's time comes, or about to go to a wedding or something like that. And I would just get fit for that time point and would
Yeah.
die off. Um, and I'm always, self-reflection is something I always do consistently. And if I'm working toward a specific goal, that's not necessarily to like a generic one, but
Mhm.
like more macro down as much as
Mhm.
possible, I see more success within myself.
Mm. Okay.
So um when I was turning 40 10 years ago, getting on the stage was my goal. I was like, okay, when I'm 40, I'm gonna get on the stage, da da da. But I realized I was gonna be getting on the stage for the wrong reason. I wasn't gonna get on the stage to prove to myself I could do this. I was getting on a stage because my best friend did it. I'm like, well, hell, I'm better than you. If you can do it, I can do it.
Okay.
So a definitely wrong reason,
Hmm.
definitely, a vanity reason, if you will.
Hmm.
And so now this time, as I, approaching 50 years old, I'm like, yeah, you know, I I've succeeded in a lot of stuff,
Hmm.
business wise, multiple businesses, and God bless, everything's going really good for the most part. Um, except for this, except for health.
Hmm.
Except for the health that when you would look at yourself kind of ordeal. So I can put on muscle like a lot of people can, but I can't shred,
Hmm.
not without putting at least really good effort
Hmm.
and really looking at myself and my lifestyle to do what it takes to get to that point of having, you know, the Christmas tree back, the abs,
Hmm.
and then once I started learning that. DJ, I don't know if you've ever competed or know of anyone personally, but let me tell you, the science of biology that's involved, these aren't just muscle heads lifting weight.
Oh yeah.
These aren't just guys, lifting things up and putting them down. They're far from that.
Yep.
Like you have to know, like my trainer, oh God bless him. He's an IT guy in finance,
Hmm.
but his his knowledge on human anatomy is absolutely amazing. So when we have to turn and flex a certain way in the moment, like Pilates.
Hmm.
I've never thought of doing Pilates in my life to prepare for bodybuilding. Are you kidding me?
Hmm.
But the flexibility you have to have. So with all those components,
Hmm.
you're learning yourself, being open to doing something like Pilates,
Hmm.
um, shredding, all those different tactics to get this thing kind of intrigued me as I got into it.
Hmm.
So to me, that bodybuilding wasn't about being on the stage and getting the gold medal. It was like, yo, if I can get myself into this shape,
Hmm.
because it requires a legit mental gritness to get there.
Hmm.
There's a lot of things I can accomplish
Yeah.
beyond business.
Yeah. And that's a great point about the amount of intelligence needed to understand. It's not just like you said, it's not just lifting something up and putting it down. It's the nutrition that you have, right? It's the water intake, it's the flexibility, it's your sleep, it's your stress levels, right? Like there's so many different things that actually go into the composition and the way that we look that I think we forget that, it's not that easy to just change the way that you look, right? There are certain tactics you can do, kind of like the ways that you outlined, that if you do them consistent enough over a long period of
Yeah.
time, it will work, right? It's just really maintaining that consistency. And one of the things you said, right, was that mental grit, right? So that's something I think I want to dive a little bit into. And so explain when you say mental grit, what is your definition of mental grit?
Being true, I shouldn't say being true to yourself, but knowing truths about yourself and admitting those truths about yourself.
Okay.
So growing up, it was football. American football is all
Mhm.
I played, or not even played, just watch it, if you will, participate in the street ball. When I became a father, my kids got into soccer. When they got into doing soccer or European football, I want
Mhm.
to phrase it, the endurance that you have to, well, your body has to be in the shape you have to be in for soccer or
Mhm.
football. It was amazing. Okay. And then there was boxing. So when you look at those two, boxing and like they just again, it's just mentally, you have to be in a spot where although you're tired, you tell yourself, I'm not tired. Like it legit becomes a battle. So if I give you the quickest answer, DJ, mental gritness is a hard conversation between your brain and your mind.
Ooh.
That's what mental gritness is. It is you physically and your brain substantiating, backing up your physical aspects, saying, we're tired. We can't lift another set. We can't run another mile. We can't go no more. But your mind's saying, bro, shut up.
Mhm.
We have to. We don't got a choice. You set a goal 6, 7, 8 months ago, whatever. To get there, you have to do this. I don't care what you think you deserve. I don't care what you think you've put into this life. But if you've been shoving cheeseburgers down your throat with fries for the past 25 years, and you think 8 months of going to the gym 5 hours a week and running 10 miles a week is going to outdo those, nah, it don't work that way. It
Mhm.
don't work that way. So your mind and your physical and your brain have this really, really tough conversation consistently.
Mhm.
And then and only then can you start breaking through and know what you're capable of doing
Mhm.
mentally.
I love that it's a hard conversation between your brain and your mind.
That's the best way to put it, bro.
Yeah.
Straight up. Best
Because
way to put it.
because I remember when I had first gotten into this work, just understanding kind of the way that I thought, I remember asking myself, like, well, what's the difference between my brain and my mind? Right, I remember being like, What is the difference? Are they the same thing?" And I kinda came to this my own definition where it's like the brain is was kinda just the physical idea of what's actually in my head, the actual matter. My mind was my decisions, right? My emotions, right? And that is kind of like that battle where it's our brain that hasn't been pushed to a level of, "Oh my god, I'm exhausted," or, "Oh my god, I'm in pain," and then our mind is like, "I understand we feel this way. and I can still keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, think about it. Our brains are meant to protect us,
Hmm.
right? It's just our body, right?
Yeah.
So if we look or go towards something new or whatever, it's going to get scared. So the brain goes, "Hey, listen, you're scared. Let's fire these hormones off, and so on and so forth. So let's go to protective mode
Hmm.
and get you back into your comfort zone." Where the mind goes, "No, no, 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 no. We're creating a new comfort zone. So I need you to back me up on this. So
Hmm.
let's push through you being afraid and let's create a brand new comfort zone, right?" And that's just how I shouldn't say that's how I
Hmm.
work best. And that's how I um either solidify my decisions or convince myself I'm capable of doing things that people otherwise would say you're not capable of doing.
Mm. And I I feel like that makes me think about one of the things you said of like the proactive versus the reactive,
Yeah.
where if I'm proactive enough to intentionally put myself into an uncomfortable situation, that is over time, if I stay there, right? If I stay there, keyword, over time, that's going to become more okay. It's going to become more normal, right? And then I'm going to have a new standard, or I'm going to have a new benchmark to go reach after, right, and chase. And so, I think one of the things that I'm curious about, because this is something that, like, when I talk about mental fitness, I talk about strengthening our ability to respond to challenge, right? So when challenge hits us,
Yeah.
what do I do next? Right? It's kind of like, now what? Right? That's
Yeah.
why, like, when I hear people talk about, oh, I'm stress and anxiety and this, it's like, okay, what are you doing about it? Right? What are the actions that we're taking? Right? And so one of the things that I'm curious about is when challenge hits your life, or maybe it's uncertainty, how do you manage the proactive versus the reactive mindset?
So something my father told me years ago, and he's since passed. He's been over 20 years. Um, you have one option. Okay, two paths, one option. You step up or you step aside.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Ever since he told me that, and that came when my senior year in high school, I failed. It was my 12th senior year. I didn't pass. I had to go repeat my senior year over again. And so I was like, I didn't know what to do. Should I just drop out of high school? Should I just, go back? I'm not sure. And he just said, step up or step aside. That was it. He didn't give me this long speech, ground me, and none of it. He just said, step up or step aside. And so I've been kind of using that as a mantra, if you will.
Yeah.
And so, look, there are times we all get into our heads.
Mhm.
I do it. I did it today, right?
Yeah.
Oh, people canceled on me. Blah, blah, blah. So I'm
Yeah.
upset at that. But it's okay. One of the guys in the group said, what can you control? You can't control it. They canceled it. They rescheduled.
Mhm.
Can't control it. So, so to your question, how do I kind of attack those
Mhm.
things? That's the first thing I always ask. Okay, do I want to step up or do I want to step aside? Number one. Number two, what can I control within the situation? I know I can control my actions.
Mhm.
I know I can control my next steps.
Mhm.
So since I've decided to step up, I'm now going to decide to control my next steps. Right. And then those are the two fundamentals.
Mhm.
If I've made the decision to step up and I've decided, if I made the decision to control my actions, then whatever the task is in front of me is what's going to take place. Because anyway, if you want to step aside, you're done.
Yeah.
That's it, right? You're stepping aside. So next topic. That's it, right?
Yeah.
But if you want to step up, okay.
Mhm.
Now it's what actions can you take? So if you say you want to step up and then you look at the actions you want to take and the actions you want to take are beyond your control because they rely on other people, well, then you're done.
Mhm. All
You're
right. So,
done. That's it.
yeah, you're done at that point, right? There's nothing else you necessarily need to do, right?
Exactly.
And so I think one of the things, so I love the step up or step aside. I think that's going to be up in my head now when I tell myself to be here and working out and all those things. Um, one of the things that I've noticed a lot of in like the people who we've worked with is sometimes they know that they can step up, yet that stepping up is scary,
Mm.
right? And there's some
So how do you get to
fear,
that?
right? So like I'm curious, right? What have you done to help yourself step up?
I try to look at what's on the other side of me waiting if I step up. Right. So if I step up, there's a possibility of XYZ. And if that XYZ far outweighs if I don't step up, then I gotta step up. I don't have a choice. Like I don't have a choice. I have to, because if most of us, at least people in my circle, or a lot of people I run into, I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase this politically correctly. Okay? I'm a Gen X guy, right? So we kind of let stuff fly off.
Yep.
Um, so when we've hung out, so you know how I can get. Uh, most there's certain people with entitlement, okay,
Yep.
that they feel, hey, if I've done this, automatically I should get this. I wasn't I wasn't from that cloth, right? I wasn't shredded or built from that cloth and made from that cloth.
Mm-hmm.
So, and maybe that's just from being from the generation I was born.
Mm-hmm.
But I always think, man, you know what? I did put X, Y, and Z in, and I think I'm deserving of this. And if I'm not, the hell with it. I'm worth the shot, though.
Yeah.
It's worth giving it a shot. Because what's gonna happen? The worst thing I can say is I tried.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to live. DJ, I've told you this before when we were in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want any of us I know, especially myself, to live a life of saying what ifs.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So to me, how do you get to that next stage? How do you step up? Do you want to go through life saying what if? Or do you want to go through life saying, well, I did step up, I gave it a hell of a shot, and this was the outcome?
Mm.
So to me, I look at that end result of what could potentially happen if I do step up. And if that excites me, I'm in.
Indeed, you're getting me in my feels a little bit as I'm starting to think through this, because I remember I actually made a Instagram video about a month or so ago, and I believe you even commented on it, and it was, what if this goes right?
Yes, I remember that.
Right. I think you would comment on it like, yeah, like this, I love this, right? Like this. And I think about that all the time. It's like, what if I do this thing and it's probably going to be uncomfortable? It's something I've never done before. Why would I expect to be really good at it if I have no evidence that I've ever done this thing ever? Right. These are the
Yeah.
growing pains of earning that thing. That's whatever on the other side of stepping up. Right. So if like if you want what the 1% have, right, you have to do what the 1% do type of mentality.
Yeah, that's it. And I'll even challenge some of that, because a lot of times when we have to step up, we've already stepped up and not realized it. It just may not be that exact same outcome, or
Mhm.
for task, if you will.
Yeah.
Like, let's say it's a test. Let's say you're in grade school, right?
Mhm.
And you're struggling this out. Like, I was a horrible science student, right?
Mhm.
But I needed to pass science. I needed to pass my exams.
Mhm.
So I had to step up and just study a little bit more. Like math, I could study for 10 minutes and ace it.
Mhm.
But in science, I couldn't study 10 minutes. I couldn't study 20 minutes. I had to study for 2 hours or whatever it was.
Mhm.
That's a moment of us stepping up. Now, we don't realize, look at it that way, right? Because what do we say? Well, we had to do it because we had to pass.
Mhm.
Because we have a task in front of us. In order to get to the next grade or to graduate, you need to pass this class and these courses. So
Mhm.
because that's your very macro down goal, if you will,
Mhm.
you know what to do. What makes it hard for people to step up to go to that next level, like the one percenters, is we don't know if we're going to achieve that end goal. And because that's a question mark, that's a gray area, we're like, I'd rather go for the guarantee.
Mhm.
I'd rather go for the guarantee, and look, it's life, right? It's life. So there are no guarantees, but some way, somehow, we're guaranteed a paycheck every other Friday or twice a month. We're guaranteed that, or at least we're guaranteed in our mind, our car has started every single day because it started every single day for the past 4 years, right? It's just those little things in life that we don't look at, And the example I'll give people DJs, that my lunch every day, for the most part, is a tuna sandwich.
Mhm.
Right. It's tuna with lettuce, factory cheese, on wheat bread.
That's what you were eating the
Uh,
last time we were talking to.
that's right. I told you, right? It's the tuna sandwich. It hits my macros every single time.
Yep.
And so if I told you, I spoke at a school and it was a bunch of seniors and juniors, and I said, if I told you guys, if you eat a tuna sandwich for lunch every day, you'll get $1 million. Who would eat a tuna sandwich for lunch? Everybody raised their hand. Even people who couldn't stand tuna.
Mhm.
But if I told you, eat a tuna sandwich for lunch, and you might make $2 million, half the class went up.
Mm.
People rather take the guaranteed 1 million than take the 50% of the 2 million.
Wow, that's an interesting question. It's a very interesting way to look at it.
Think about it. That's how I look at stuff, right? I'm like, yeah, I don't like certain things, but the hell with my feelings.
Mm.
I'm here for results. And if this is what I have to do to get the results, feelings get shoved away. Get the results in.
The unknown versus the guarantee.
Yeah. It's I heard, so that's not really my thought. I did hear it somewhere where
Mhm.
someone gave a speech at an Ivy League school, and I'm going to butcher it here. I know I'm going to butcher it. And they asked the graduating class of this Ivy League school, would you rather make? I'm going to make up some numbers. Would you rather make $250,000 yourself and your peers make 300,000, or would you rather make $200,000? So remember, would
Mhm.
you rather make 250 yourself and your peers make 300, or would you rather make 200 yourself and your peers make 150? More than 80% of the people said they'd rather make 200 themselves and their peers make 150.
Whew. What
Think
does
about
that
that
tell
mentality.
us? What does that
Exactly.
tell us?
This was just recently, and I heard it within the past, I'm gonna
Mhm.
say 2 years or so.
Yeah.
Now, one again, it could have been made up. Who knows? But at the
Mhm.
end of the day, when I start talking, when I did that at school, I did that own thing about the tuna sandwich and the $1 million. It was right.
Yeah.
People were like, I'd rather go for the guaranteed $1 million.
Yeah. And do we think that's because of so this whole unknown versus guarantee thing? I've never really thought of it like that, especially when it comes to like entrepreneurship, right?
Mhm.
I think entrepreneurship is just a giant unknown, just a giant unknown journey. That's literally just what it is,
Yeah.
right? There are no guarantees when it comes to entrepreneurship. Yet I remember being in the corporate world and realizing like, oh, it's guaranteed that I'm going to get paid on Friday, right? And it
Told
was
you.
a really great feeling, right? It's like I could fuck up the whole kind of week, right? I'm gonna get paid Friday. Right? It doesn't really matter.
That paycheck is like Pavlov's theory,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yes.
oh, it's Friday. I get a paycheck.
There we go, right? And so
That's it, right? So
yeah,
we don't entrepreneurship. What I think I said San Diego, we sign up for entrepreneurship, not guarantee shit.
I remember that. I wrote that down. I remember that, right? And that's so because I think so. What I wrote down was guarantee, guaranteeing or being guaranteed versus the unknown. Do you value safety or reward?
That's a good question. Me personally, reward.
Reward, right? Which is why you've gone into the unknown.
Yeah, I value reward. That's a great way to put it, DJ. Safety versus the reward, or the guarantee versus reward.
Yeah.
The safety of the guarantee. There's a lot. Listen, my wife, God bless her. That's her.
Mhm.
She doesn't want entrepreneurship. She lives in it's safe for me. I get a paycheck every 2 weeks. I know, and she lives in that. And that's probably the one, if we barely butt heads on things, but that's one of the things we butt heads on is that kind of lifestyle.
Mhm.
Um, but she's one of millions, and she's 95%.
Mhm.
Think about it. She's the 95%. When they talk about the 5%ers are the ones who take that challenge, and we take our bumps on the head way more than we tell people.
Oh yeah.
And mentally to the topic, not to stray off, but the
Mhm.
topic of mental toughness and mental fitness, these bumps that we take because we go through these unknowns, these potential rewards,
Mhm.
the more we break through it, the more we become mentally tough. Just
Mhm.
like physical fitness,
Mhm.
the more reps you do, that muscle is going to get bigger. The fibers are going to tear down. They're going to reattach again, and they only get stronger every time you lift. The same mentally.
Mhm.
Our mental toughness can only get tough once we put it through rigorous situations,
Yep. Mhm.
right? And people still don't believe me. I mean, you probably don't, very few people do. Man, I would take physical toughness over mental toughness any day of the week, because physical toughness, you can get through it with minimal downtime. Mental toughness, Ooh, that's a whole different recovery process.
Hmm.
It's a whole because you can't take Tylenol for mental toughness. You can't take leave for mental toughness. You can't. You have to humble yourself, look at your situation, take a deep breath, close your eyes, and just say, okay, here's where I was, here's where I am. How did I get here? Now, how do I go here? And it is a mental book by book, step by step process that you have to go through. And that's far more recovery time than leg day or back day.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of like the one of the things that I've realized when I've started to think more in depth about like mental fitness and how it connects to physical fitness, taking the time to actually think about the challenges that might hit you in your life or think about how you are going to respond to those challenges. When I started to like take a step back and I was like, all right, how does mental fitness really connect to physical fitness on an even deeper level? I realized it was basically like training your mind like a muscle.
Absolutely.
Right? Like it's almost the exact same thing. Like I have to do hard things. When I say do hard things, that could be eating a clean diet. That could be exercise each day. That could be reaching out to a loved one and apologizing, right? That could be starting a business. Like there's so many different hard things that we can encounter. It's really anything that we don't necessarily want to do, yet we intentionally do it because we know when we take that step up, the thing that's waiting for us is going to be greater on that other side, right? And it's going to require discomfort. Like that's the price, right? Like when people talk about like I had a really interesting thing happen to me a couple weeks ago. I saw this beautiful yacht out in Tampa Bay. It had to be hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm looking at this thing. I'm like, that's a nice looking boat right there. And so I was talking with my business partner about it, and I go, that yacht was bought in the 99% of the process of getting to that billionaire status, right? Or whatever it is. Right. At one moment, they just said, yeah, I
That's a
bought
great way of looking at it.
right,
That's a great way of looking at it.
right. That yacht was 10, 20, 30 years of just working your ass off, right? Mental fitness, being uncomfortable, discipline, all of these things. And then at one moment, you bought a yacht. Right? It's like it all came down to that one moment and you purchased the yacht and then this one day you were sitting on it. And it's like that yacht was bought with 30 years of working your ass off,
Yeah.
right? That's really what it was. And I think that is where like you can see the value of mental fitness of being able to go from challenge to challenge to challenge with the same level of enthusiasm that you had before you even experienced the challenge. Right? It's like, oh yeah, I just got kicked in the face. It's like, all right, sweet. Like, let's keep going.
But see, so to your point, to your earlier point as
Yeah.
well, when you asked her why is it, about stepping up and why, I think a lot of people don't do the mental toughness thing because it's not a tangible asset.
Mhm.
Right? We want to build our calves, we want to build our quads, we want to build our hammies. We can flex
Mhm.
and look in the mirror, and be like, oh, okay, it's coming in, hit the right light, the shading
Yep.
comes in. Oh, it looks better this way. Um, but we don't have an actual brain to look at
Yep.
our own brain and see that it pulsates this way or see the all the stuff like
Yeah.
the electronic crap, going through all
Yeah.
that stuff. You don't see that.
Mhm.
And because we're very a hands-on society.
Mhm.
We're very tangible. We want to see things and feel things to, for validation. We want to see the name brand clothing, the name brand car, the name brand yacht, whatever. That's our validation. So it's very hard for a lot of people to saying, okay, all right, I got through this. When I think if we just appreciate, hey, guess what? I gave an effort on Monday. Um, it sucked,
Mhm.
but I woke up on Tuesday and I'm alive. Okay, I can do this. I think I can do this. And
Mhm.
okay, I did it Tuesday. It sucked again, but I'm alive, right?
Yep.
Is I think we don't appreciate the fact that we're able to wake up
Mhm.
and still do the same thing we did for the past 10, 15 days
Mhm.
and not get a physical result. But mentally, guess what? You are not as frustrated or as disgruntled or you won on day 15 than you were on day one, are you? There's your mental reward right there.
Yeah.
But we don't think about that.
You
Not,
know,
no, and I didn't. It took
yeah.
me years,
Mhm.
you
I didn't
know.
understand it my whole childhood, my whole teenage years, and I only really kind of came onto it once I needed it to almost save myself, to help myself when I was struggling with my own challenges, realizing, hey, maybe I look good, yet I don't feel good.
Yes.
Right? On the surface, I might look good, yet internally, I feel like I'm stressed all the time. Like I feel like I'm uneasy, right? Like that doesn't feel that great, right?
Yeah.
And I think that is the number one, I think, obstacle when it comes to trying to communicate the value of mental fitness is we can't sometimes see it. It really has to be felt,
Yes.
right? It has to be felt when a challenge hits you and you have a protocol of exactly what to do, whether it's a physical movement or a mental movement, right? Different thoughts, changing perceptions, whatever it might be. And that makes you feel strong, smart, and capable, right? And then you're like,
Hmm.
yeah, like I'm good, right? I think that's something. I had somebody a couple weeks ago tell me, they said, well, nothing ever bothers you. And I was like, really? I was like, that's the way that you think this is. Like, I just don't let anything bother me. Right, and I really took a step back and I'm like, well, that's to a degree what you could represent mental fitness as, yet there's still things that bother us. We just respond to them differently, right?
Yeah.
We just take different actions. Maybe we're even proactive to that challenge, right? We've actually been preparing for this lift or this contest or this conversation. So it's not going to bother us as much as if we didn't prepare for it or we didn't have a mental protocol of exactly what to do. Right. So I think that's a huge discrepancy of how do I differentiate physical fitness results versus mental fitness results? Physical fitness results, I can see, I can feel them. And mental fitness results, I really have to experience them and feel them. Right. And I think
Yeah. You almost
that's
have to be your own cheerleader
mhm,
with mental fitness results. You almost have to be your own cheerleader of acknowledging yourself of, hey, I'm still here. I'm still doing it. Right. It's easy to go to the gym and see the results in the mirror.
mhm,
It's easy if someone comes over and says, hey, how do you get your back like that? Or someone says, oh, man, great job. We get accolades or acknowledgments from our surroundings on physical stuff. But mentally, like you said, someone, you don't get upset or you don't get bothered. It's like, well, I do.
mhm,
It's just that I'm being proactive
mhm,
on that. I'm expecting some of these things. So I know I'm more effective if I'm proactive. So when this stuff hits me, I'm not blindsided. I'm not shaken. I know I'm going to handle it and keep. I know I'm going to handle it and keep going through from there.
mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think we need to almost acknowledge that. Right. We should acknowledge and encourage patting yourself on the back. In sixth grade we used to call it APOP, a
Yeah.
pat on the back. That's what we
I
said.
like
We used
that.
to get these little buttons called APOP buttons, and that's what it was. It was just like because the culture we grew up in, the society we grew up in, again, Gen X, there wasn't a lot of attaboy, great job. It
Mhm,
wasn't. It was, and I'm happy for a person. I think it made me a tougher person, I thicker skin. But on the flip side, because you didn't get that, now we're older, we're 50 plus crowd, and we're managing people or dealing with people in their 20s and 30s who are used to getting that, hey, great shit.
yeah.
Where we're like, you did your job. Why do you want accolades for? Okay, that's it, right? Shove them out,
Yep.
go do it again. But mental toughness, because you're not going to have someone to champion you,
Mhm.
you got to champion yourself.
Yeah. It's a big inside game,
It's a
right?
huge. It's underrated. It's not discussed, which is why when you ask me, I'm like, bro, I'm all in. I love that you're doing this.
Mhm,
This does not get discussed enough. It does not get the proper exposure that I think it needs, and I think it's very underwhelmed, it's very underplayed
mhm.
in an overwhelmingly sense.
Yeah.
And I think, unfortunately, some of the people who are bringing it to light aren't doing it for the right reasons. They're
Mhm,
doing it for cash grabs
mhm.
because mindset's everywhere.
Yeah.
Mindset. Now it's just a hashtag that people want to get paid off of.
Mhm,
So, but your format on DJ, on how you're doing it and how you want to present it to everybody, to your sphere and your audience, I love it. I absolutely love it. I think you're doing it in a great way, and you're probably the first person to do it in a properly serviced way.
hmm.
A lot of people have done it disservice. You have not. You're done it in a legit, genuine way. That listen, yeah, I look good, I got this, but inside here is not right. It's not balancing out. They don't live in harmony. I need to live in harmony. Like you said, the gym is not just the gym. It's your diet, it's your sleep. And it's not 80-20. It's 100% gym, 100% your diet, 100% breathing, 100% everything.
Mhm.
It is 100% across the spectrum if you want those results.
Mhm.
Question is, are you willing to do what it takes?
Mm. Well, Naveed, thank you so much for that compliment. I really appreciate that. It's been a long journey, and I'm just, I think, starting that journey of really trying to communicate the value of this type of work. So
I think you're doing no, I'm straight up, man. This isn't a promo, guys. He didn't ask me to say this. I'm just saying this. I met you, and for your age on how you think is refreshing because it gives me hope for our future. Because I'm like, we're screwed. But then I met you, I'm like, oh, okay, there's one out there. He's got it, and he's got some friends that are like him. I'm like, okay, we have a chance. We got a chance.
well, good. Let that be a promo to any of the younger individuals out there, right? We can save the future with mental fitness. We really, really can. We truly can.
Absolutely.
So, all right, Naveed, I want to ask you one more question.
Yes, yes.
This is the a question that I'm going to end every interview with because I think it's very powerful. And I actually thought of this yesterday with my father. All right. So
Oh,
me and my father, I was home yesterday and I was going through this and I'm like, what's a question that would really draw something out of somebody? And so last question I want to ask you is what's a secret that you know that no one else knows that has helped you live a better life?
it's a secret that I know that no one else knows. Uh, it's the first thing that popped in my mind. Life is not as complicated as we make it out to be. It really is as simple of going for what you want or not going for what you want. That's it.
I love it.
That is it. I'm not going to complicate it more than that. If you want it, go get it. If you don't, okay.
Step up or step aside.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. Well, Navid Moosa, thank you so much for your time today. I have a whole page of notes here. We covered mental grit. We covered the brain versus the mind, step up or step aside. We covered the guarantee versus the unknown. And you either go after what you want or you don't go after what you want. It's really that simple.
Yeah, it is.
Awesome.
So,
Well, Naveed, thank you so much for your time today, sir. I really, really appreciate it. Hope everybody listening to today's episode got some good notes. I hope we got some good little mental fitness tips, some good physical fitness tips, and I will keep everybody updated on when Naveed comes in first place in his bodybuilding contest. In your year out, right, Naveed? You said.
I mean, you're right. I'm still here. Right. Yep. Yep. For
Gotcha.
sure. So
Awesome.
thanks, DJ. Thanks for having me. I had a great time. Awesome. I apologize for going on a tangent there. You got into some passionate subject. So whew, you got the blood going. So
Passion's
I'm sure I
good.
changed a couple of tones. So
Passion's good. That's what we like here. So, all right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in to this episode of the Libraries and Weight Rooms podcast, where we talk about mental and physical fitness. Our guest today, Navid Moosa. Thank you so much, sir. And until next week, everybody have a great couple of weeks, and we'll talk to you guys soon. We'll see you.
see ya.